the last piece of the collab lab was something that I really wanted to learn myself, and that was one of the reasons why I wanted to do this programming anyway in the first place, was because there was things I wanted to learn. And I didn't know how to do eco printing before, and I didn't know how to make ink before. So I did take the time to learn this on the side and collaborate beforehand with Jen and also Kim. And they came over to the house and we just sort of practiced on the fire and all this kind of thing. So it was fun. By the time we got there was several stations. There was a sewing station. There was an outdoor station for boiling the dyes, and I spontaneously made an avocado dye because I'd been reading about it for so long. I was just like, okay, let's buy avocados and I'll just make it. And then Kim, like I said, took over and she had the kids all over in the corner because there was a lot of children that day, and they were hammering, and Jen as well. They're just hammering and hammering, and also the other thing aspect was that we had to get the sewing together. So we had these sewing machines that John brought from Monodzuin, and he had them all set up, and we found that we had to kind of jump from machine to machine because they weren't always like up to speed with what we were doing. And so there was hand sewing, and there was printing on the fabrics, and there was the machine sewing a little bit. We had food as well. And at the very beginning, when we came in, which was a really great, was that John was one of the partners as well, because we had the 3 partners this time. And that he brought in these large mason jars of his gathering of medicines. He's learning that as the firekeeper there, and Nojuwenteng, or not Nojuwenteng, Monodzuin. And so he Nojuwenteng, yeah. And so he was learning all of these new processes himself, and he said, well, I didn't have that many things to bring, but in fact he had these big, beautiful mason jars that he shared the medicines that were inside, and what we were doing in terms of the earth connection, and that whole part of what we're doing is that we realized that there are medicines, there are things that medicine can be color that we use in creating inks or the prints, because it was all done with either vegetables or flowers, and the different times of the year, depending on what those herbs or flowers are doing, we can use the different parts of that plant for different things. And that was, to me, really tied everything in together, because we were connecting to the earth, and that was the most important thing. Even though we sewed and did all this other stuff, it was that process was we were there from 4:00, 4:30 until almost like 9:00. People were still leaving, and we still felt like, that was a very condensed version of what you could do from day to day. And so it's like you could collect those herbs in the summertime, or the flowers, you can actually store them, and then you can use them to make dye months later if you put them in the freezer, or you could make them right away. There's so many different ways to do it, and the real important part was not to stress. So I just want to thank Ashley for doing all of the photography and videography for us, and all the people that were involved in this programming.